Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. DOS here, and welcome back to the final tier list for the villagers in Animal Crossing New Horizons. This is going to be the hardest tier list probably, because this is every single villager that I've ranked as an S tier. Starting from Anka and ending with Zucker. Now, I know that my tier lists have made some of you a little frustrated just because I didn't rank your personal favorite top tier, but that's just how this works, man. That's what happens. We all have our own opinions, and it's fine if we do. There's nothing bad with that. So, with this tier list, I'm going to be a lot more strict and a lot more harsh with this ranking, considering these are all S tiers in my eyes. But if I'm ranking the S tiers in their own tier list, I need to be a lot more mean. So we're starting off with Anka. Anka, the Egyptian Pharaoh Cat. She's got a gimmick. As you can tell with the majority of these villagers, they have a gimmick. I'm a sucker for gimmicks in Animal Crossing. I think they're some of the best things that you can have. I am going to put Anka... I'm going to put Anka at an A tier. There's not really much I can say about them, because I've given my thoughts on Anka and everything already. She's a cat, yellow, blue, love the Egyptian theme, but this is a very hard tier list to go. Now, next up is Audie. I know what you guys are thinking. I'm going to put her in S tier because she's my favorite villager. You'd actually be wrong. So, if I'm comparing her to every other villager in this tier list, Audie is actually kind of plain compared to the others. She's my favorite, and I love the backstory that comes with her. But design-wise, she's plain compared to other villagers. So because of that, I am going to put Audie at an A tier. She doesn't have that much of a gimmick. Her gimmick is being more of a beach babe, I guess. But I think she's an A tier. Next up, we have Bianca, the snow leopard. Considering the other villagers in this tier list, the eye shape hurts her. It's a very beautiful pelt, very beautiful look, very beautiful eyes, but the eye shape just hurts her a little bit. So she's a B tier. B for Bianca. Next up, we have Chrissy, the one half of the bunny girls. I prefer Chrissy than over her sister. I think she works a lot better by herself. I'm going to give Chrissy... I think I'm going to give Chrissy an A tier as well. I really like the pattern on her ears. I love the eyes. I love the color palette. It looks really nice. But there's not that much of a gimmick. And nothing really to boost her up to S. Next up, we have Coco. For villager-wise, for this specific tier list, I'm going to give Coco a C. Coco's amazing. She's great. I love that she's a terracotta, statue type of thing with holes for an eye and a mouth. But besides the gimmick of being this terracotta thing, she's plain. And again, compared to the villagers in this specific tier list, it doesn't help out her case. Next up, we have Cookie, the dog. Cookie is very similar to Chrissy. However, I'm going to give Cookie a B tier because she doesn't have the uniqueness of pattern that Chrissy does. Chrissy has the polka dot stuff, the very unique eyelashes, and the blush and the little green nose, whereas Cookie's just pink and white of a normal dog-like pattern. Very similar color scheme and very similar eyes, but that's about it. Next up, we have Diana, the deer. I'm gonna give Diana a B tier as well. There's nothing really that makes her super special. but her look is still super pleasing. Her color scheme is very much the same. As you can tell, I typically like pink as a color scheme. I just think pink looks really nice. Pink is typically like a cute color. She's got like the purple, the off-white, the pinks, the bright blues right here. But there's something to boost her to an A or to really skyrocket her to S. Next up we have Dom. Dom's going to be an A tier. Considering the sheep and everything like that, Dom's extremely unique. I don't recall any other sheep having like this type of like eye shape and horn color and everything. It really works. This is extremely unique for his race, and he looks really nice. Next up we have Drago. Compared to all the other villagers, Drago is going to be a C tier. He's a dragon, he's a crocodile, he's cool, but there's not much going for him. The reason why he's a C tier, though, I was actually going to put him in D tier, but he's C tier, is because I believe Gale is a D tier. Gale is really nice, but Gale's just a regular alligator crocodile, just pink with parts. Whereas Drago is a dragon. He's got that bit of uniqueness to him that boosts him up. But Gale is just too similar to everything else. But Gale's great. Gale's fantastic. Next up we have Judy. Judy's actually interesting for me. I don't know if I want to give her an S tier or give her an A tier. I actually don't know if any of the villagers here deserve an S tier. But Judy, I love like the gradient of her fur going from a bright like sky powder blue to like a bright like pinkish purple. Her eyes, the way they sparkle is really nice. She's just a really nice color palette, and her eyes just really great. I think I'm going to put Judy as an S tier. I think Judy just does so much right. There's so much uniqueness to her. There's not a lot of villagers that have a like cotton candy gradient that she's very unique with the eyes. She's the only villager that has those type of eyes. They're the perfect shape for her head. Like everything just works. Her patterning is just great. It's just like pulling out all the stops, and I really like that. Next up we have Julian, the unicorn. Julian's going to be an A tier. His eyes just don't sell me, and I'm not a huge fan of his hair. But I do like his color palette, and being a unicorn really bumps him up quite a bit. I think that just gives him that uniqueness that really makes him really good at A tier. Next up, we have June. June is going to be a C tier. June's more of a basic cub, unlike Judy. But I do love the hibiscus in her hair. Her eyes are really nice, but her color palette's too basic, and she just looks too much like a bear cub villager. Like she looks like too much what you would expect one to look like. Next up we have Kabuki. Kabuki is an easy A tier. Kabuki is a super unique design for a cat. Super weird. However, his face is just a bit too weird for my taste to put him as an S. But he's super cool and super unique. It's just there's no other villager that's like him. He's one of a kind. Next up we have Ketchup. Even though it pains me, I think Ketchup's gonna be a B tier. There's just not that much going for Ketchup. The gimmick of her being a tomato really brings Ketchup up to a B tier. Besides that, it's just normal duck qualities. But it does look very nice and it works very well. Next up, we have Knox, one of my personal favorites. Knox, however, is going to be... It's going to be a C tier. There's a reasoning as to why he's a C tier, not higher, which I'll go into later on in this tier list. But Knox, he's got the armor, which looks really nice on him. But besides that, there's nothing really else that makes him pop. Compared to the other villagers in this tier list, he kind of just blends in. He kind of just like, he's forgettable, you know? There's not much to that, which is a shame. Next up, we have Lucky. So people are going to hate me for this, but I'm going to put Lucky as a B tier. Mainly because his gimmick of being basically like a mummy, even though like he's not a mummy, he just got into a really bad accident, like is really great, but you can't really see any of his features. You can only see a glowing yellow eye and his black ears. And so like there's nothing that really like makes you like give him more uniqueness. He's just bandages, which kind of hurts him in this specific tier list. His uniqueness still brings him up to a B. It's definitely unique for a dog as well, but you don't get the great facial expressions. You only get the one eye, which is kind of cute, but like there's nothing that will bump him up to an A. Next up, we have Margie. Margie, I think, is going to be a D tier. It's just a normal elephant, just with like a interesting head design. But the eyes are beautiful. The coloring is beautiful. The mouth is really great with the little cheek. I do really like Margie, but comparatively, nothing super special. Next up, we have Meringue. So Meringue is going to be a B tier. Meringue is super cute. I love the pink and yellow. It actually works really well. She just is super cute. And the octopi have, throughout this entire tier list, and the past ones, have gotten boosts because they are octopi, and octopi is so rare. There's only 3. So they get that uniqueness. They get that special quality to them. However, in this tier list, Meringue's a middle of the road. Basic pink, nothing super special, nothing to gain. Next up, we have Marshall. I'm going to put Marshall at a C tier. Marshall just seems like a normal squirrel to me. I'm not a huge fan of Marshall myself. He's very plain looking. If I gave June C tier, I'd have to give Marshall C tier. It's the same exact premise. It's like if you think of a squirrel, you basically would think of Marshall. Like the only reason why Marshall's so high up on people's lists is because people love their twinks. Same thing with Raymond. Marshall was S tier for me for smug villagers, but for the S tiers of S tiers, he's a C tier. Next up, we have Meringue. Even though I love Meringue's gimmick and being a meringue, Meringue's going to be a B tier. Mainly because I'm not a huge fan of the shade of pink that Meringue is. And rhinos just look weird in general. And having this gimmick really works for her design. But it's still a weird... It's just weird proportion-wise in general. I feel bad because I do really like Meringue, but Meringue's going to be a B tier. Next up, we have Octavian. So Marina was B tier. Octavian is C tier. He's got that gimmick of being an octopi and also being grumpy as hell in his face. But besides that, nothing really special. I prefer Marina's face and color palette more than Octavian, even though red's my favorite color. I prefer the face of Marina a lot more. So, Octavian's a C tier. Next up we have Pekoe. Pekoe? Pekoe. I don't know how to say her name. I'm going to give her a B tier. You might be wondering, why is this cub a B tier and June C? Well, the main difference is Pekoe, or Pekoe, however you say her name, instead of having cub ears, it's little like hair buns, like little like Chun-Li buns. That brings up the uniqueness quite a bit. The eyes are actually extremely unique as well, with like the way they're also like lined and everything. It's pretty unique. That brings her up to a B comparatively to June. Up next we have Petro, one of my personal favorites. He's on my island. I really do enjoy Petro. I love that he's a clown and everything. I think he's gonna join his little ram buddy, sheep buddy, and be an A tier. I think Petro is just a super unique design. I love the mess of colors. Petro's a hot mess, and it works for him. He's a lazy villager, which actually kind of works as well. And just the coloring on Petro works really well. It's very vibrant and it pops, and it's just really good. Not much I can say. Next up, we have Ribbot. Ribbot is going to be a B tier. Again, I'm going to explain in a bit as to the main reason why Ribbot's a B tier, not higher. But I do like the gimmick of being a robot. And being a robot frog is super cool. Just being a robot village in general is cool. But there's not much you can do with a robot frog, so middle of the road. Next up we have Snake. I think Snake's going to be a D tier comparatively. The only thing that Snake's away from him is he's a ninja. Besides that, he's just a pink bunny with a weird face. Like, the ninja top works in his favor with his facial features, but besides that, there's nothing else you can do. We now move on to Sprocket. So Sprocket is an A tier. And here's why Ribbot's a B tier. Sprocket does the robot villager thing better. There's more to Sprocket. It's a unique coloring as well. It's not just gray. It's like a green with blue eyes. You got these like robotic quills and the robotic tail. There's just more going on with Sprocket than there is with Ribbot, which makes him more interesting in proxy. Same thing with Knox. We have Sterling. Sterling just pops out a lot more. Being an eagle, kind of looking more like a toucan, works a lot better than being a chicken. It pops more. The blue really works. And I just think Sterling works better in the night gimmick than Knox does, even though I love Knox. So Sterling is a B tier. Next up we have Stitches. Stitches is an S tier. I love the whole idea of Stitches. It's so clever. It's so unique. It makes sense. Like, when you think about it, make a bear cub be a stuffed teddy bear. It makes perfect sense. I love that his eyes are just X's, like if the buttons are pulled off. I love that he's a mismatch of colors and like parts, basically, like he was stitched together. It works. There's a story. There's a great gimmick. It just is perfect. It's amazing. It's great. Next up, we have Tangy. I love Tangy, but Tangy's going to be a C tier. I think Ketchup does the gimmick a little bit better. I think Ketchup's a bit cuter. But Tangy is just so good, but the face is just a tad bit too goofy. That brings it to a C. I love Tangy. Tangy's still an S tier in the personality group, but in the S tiers of S tiers, Tangy's a C tier. Next up, we have Tia. I think so. Tia is one that I'm not sure about. I think Tia is going to be going between A and B tier. It's either going to be a low A or high B. I can't really decide. I like Tia. I like the extreme gimmick of her being a teapot. Her head is a little teapot, which works with the whole elephant shape. I think let's leave it at a very high B tier. Just because her main coloring is white and then her accents are blue, and yellow. White's a very safe choice, so I'll have it as a high B. If it was a more out there color, like more something a little bit more unique, like an actual color, not a shade, then maybe she'd be an A tier. Last up, we have Zucker, the last octopi and the last S tier villager. So, if Octavian was a C tier and Marina was a B tier, Octavian is an A tier. And here's why. Octavian is a takoyaki ball. If you aren't familiar with what takoyaki is, it's fried octopus, basically. It's a fried octopus ball. You'll see a lot in anime, stuff like that, and like Japanese type of games. Which is why he's got like this like weird like coating right here and a little stick coming out. It's because he's a takoyaki. And his outfit is like a sushi chef. It's a perfect gimmick. It works with what his species is. It works with his outfit. It's great. And plus, I do really like his face. It's not as cute as Marina's, but the gimmick of Zucker brings him up to an A. If he didn't have this gimmick, he would probably be a B tier. But there you have it. This is my S tier list. It hurts me a bit with some of these villagers because I love them so much. But compared to each other, I'm pretty confident with this. As you can tell, my bias for Audie still brought her pretty high. I do think she just works really well for me. In all honesty, I think for most people, if they would compare with this, I think most people would put Audie at either a C or B tier. But Audie is by far my favorite villager, and it does hurt me not to put her at S tier, but that's way too biased. S tier, in all honesty, Audie does not deserve S tier, but this is my tier list. The S tiers of S tier are 2 bear cubs, Judy and Stitches. Judy, because she's got such a unique design. The gradient of the pastel colors with her super unique eyes and just how everything works well together is super great. And Stitches, being a stuffed teddy bear, perfect idea for bear cub. Flawlessly executed in design. It works. But yeah, out of the S tier villagers here, let me know who your top of the S tier would be. And let me know who your bottom of the S tier would be. If your bottom of the S tier is Audie, that's perfectly fine. We all have our own opinions. And again, if these weren't your favorite villagers, that's completely fine. We all have our own opinions. We all have our own likes and dislikes. Like I've said many times before, I know plenty of people who do not care for Audie at all, who do not like Audie. How, like, the majority of the Animal Crossing community love Raymond, and I do not like Raymond at all. So it's completely fair and valid. But regardless, guys, if you guys liked this video and you liked me ranking these villagers, leave a like. If you're new to my channel, I make Animal Crossing related content every Monday at this moment in time. That may change in the future. I may switch that time slot to some other game, depending. We'll see. And I make Ruby reactions every Friday. I'm trying to think of other content to bring to the channel. I have an idea of something, which I need to record at some point. But coming up this Wednesday, I believe, if everything goes well, I am going to be posting a video asking some questions to you guys. And I want everyone who watches me to give me your response and your opinion on it. So look out for that on Wednesday. Yeah, if you already subscribed as well, hit that bell so you get notified whenever I post a new video. And like I've been saying a lot recently, YouTube's been screwing up. I've been getting notifications for videos I've already watched and have come out a week ago for channels I don't have the bell on. For channels I do have the bell on, it's working perfectly fine. I'm just telling you guys this so you guys won't miss a video. I understand if you guys don't want the bell on. This is just It's just me letting you know, basically. So, I hope to see you guys in the next video, and as always, hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, and evening. Goodbye, everyone.